started talking a lot. In fact, now that I keep track, I do more than 20 minutes to myself, to the camera, which is similarly awkward. But is there anything else I wanted to mention? Yeah, so I guess in a way, writing all this music is a way to figure out who I am. It's weird to be someone who pursues the truth so much, but it doesn't make being honest with myself any easier. The fact that I'm really open with people doesn't really mean any more that they know me than they know any other person who's generally more guarded. I think I barely know anything about myself consciously. That it would just take so much to try and explain who I am in words, because I just don't think it works. You'd either have to spend a lot of time with me, and really, am I that bearable? Or I think music will say it. It's weird. I haven't done a lot of songwriting, so I don't really have a ton of anecdotes or examples to draw from, but it feels like when I write music, even when I write lyrics, it's like things come out that I wouldn't normally say. And it's never, well, not never, but most often I find it strikingly revealing about myself. So I think a lot of the music I'm writing, I talked about with Jeff. Jeff's kind of, I think he's in a band right now, and we both like sophisticated, well, not necessarily sophisticated, but really well-written music. Whereas, stuff like pop and such, we're not that into. But at some point we kind of have to get off our high horse, and I think, as much as I might come across as someone who's, well-read, with good taste, blah blah blah. Oh, the crap as well. No, it's really not always true. I like campy and cheesy and crappy things. Well, crappy's not the right word. Corny, mainstream, typical things. Every now and then, just as much as anyone else. So I think Jeff and I talked about it, that if we want to write music, we just kind of have to write whatever you feel like writing, and in that way I need to stop trying to act like the guy who knows everything and the guy who has it all together, and I think I have to be more okay with failing and screwing up, and I need to get used to doing it and get used to dealing with it. I don't know how that came out, I was talking about music. But I guess the same goes for writing. If I'm going to write music, I think a lot of stuff I would have previously considered trite is going to emerge from my mind. And, I will admit that I hope someday that I write good stuff, but for the moment I'm writing lots of very generic and kind of boring stuff. Just to get a feel for it, it's nice to just play music, right? I mean, as much as writing it and coming up with awesome stuff and being unique is fun, where does music all start? Isn't it just people enjoying it together? Even just something really rudimentary, something really basic. So before I end up writing, a symphony or a soundtrack or, an album or whatever I end up doing, I have no idea at this point. I think it's more important to just have fun with it. So for the next couple months at least, I'm just kind of playing music that I think is fun to play, and as much as I'm a person who aspires to higher things and I want to have some big dreams and I want to do some crazy stunts, no, not that crazy. I'm also kind of just like a homebody, and I always pictured I'd be like the homemaker dad. And it's nice to just sit on a couch and watch a movie and just not worry about all this stuff. So it's kind of this weird dichotomy where I have these huge dreams, but on the other side, I want to just, vegetate and not be bothered about it, and not worry about it, and just be okay with being okay. Anyways, how that relates to music is that I'm probably just going to play, and it's going to be crabby 4-chord pop music. No, it's not going to be 4-chord pop music. That stuff is terrible. You should look that up. 4-chord pop music is painful. And all that really implies is that a vast majority of pop songs out there are 4 chords, and there's really just so much more you can do with music. It's really disappointing to hear the same progression over and over again and have people not realize how boring it is. That said, I'm not going to overcomplicate things or try and write something that will be necessarily technically respectable or inspiring or even that unique. I think I just want to enjoy music for a little bit, and we'll figure things out from there. I mean, you never know. Everything could change on a moment's notice, right? What was that stupid quote? Every moment is another chance to turn everything around. Oh, that sounds so terrible. But I'm not going to cut it. I guess I'm really just sick of editing my life. I edit myself a lot for other people, and it's easy to show the good sides of Josh. Not because there are a lot, well maybe there are a lot, but it's really habit and convenience, and it's me being distant from people. It's easy to just give them this good impression and then just send them on their way, because really getting to know people and having them know me is hard, and I guess I'm learning that when you let people in, it hurts sometimes. More than I would think, and honestly this applies to physical Josh as well as emotional and mental Josh, but my tolerance for pain, my dad always made fun of me, is really low. I get really affected by things. Not in a sort of like emo Josh, go crazy, don't be around me kind of way. Like, I'm hardly ever awkward like that, I don't think. But I'm still a fan of that approach. I think it's important to experience things to the fullest and not shield yourself from truth. And the truth is, the sociable aspect of our species is hard, and I kind of suck at it in a lot of ways. But that's not surprising, and it's something you can work on. But while I am running out of time, I think that is one of the biggest things I've learned this month. You can either fail and change yourself, or you can fail and kind of just accept the failure and know that you're you and that you're okay with it. I think there are some parts of me that aren't that great, but how long can this go on, Josh, to talk to myself? That I look at every part of me, and if there's a part of me that's not ideal or that doesn't work, that I just simply go and change it into something that I logically think is better, or that I think is better according to most people. It's really just, if you do that your whole life, it's just so much work, and you never settle down. So to an end, I think I'm getting okay with failing sometimes. I'm getting okay with some parts of me that aren't great and probably aren't ever going to be great. And that was always challenging for me, watching my parents be who they are and not change, and it always drove me crazy that things they did that were so obviously, well, I thought at the time, wrong, and everyone around them could show them why I was wrong, and yet they didn't change. So maybe I'm growing up and I'm coming to the point where I understand that even if you don't like a part of yourself, that doesn't mean you change it. You can change how you go about it. There are subtle things you can do, but ultimately, flaws are your flaws, and they still make you you, and there's, if everyone was perfect, what would